make sure that you adjusted the back of the head to keep your neck in a neutral position, as well as welcome to bend your knees, to set your pelvis the way that your lower back is also neutral. That means you have a little bit of a space between spine and the mat. Let us take a couple of long exhales to take away unnecessary tension, physical tension first of all. Usually we accumulate this tension on the front of the chest, top of the shoulders, facial muscles. So try to relax the spine the way that the upper spine pulls the shoulders down toward the floor, opening the chest. You might also play with the position of the arms to set the shoulders in a more natural new position with a bit of external rotation. Then allow to relax the abdomen area for now, to relax the mid-spine, lower part of the spine, to relax there. Take a couple of exhales to work with the gravity, letting the feet, the back of your body, back of the palms, back of the head, to receive some weight through which the points that you're touching the floor, you will allow yourself to connect to the earth. And from there, admit your presence on the mat and the space where you're practicing today in a moment of your life. If you would like to set a very personal intention for the practice, you might think of the word or phrase that you might want to keep in mind and return through the practice, especially if you will find that your mind is wandering away from the mat. For the couple of next exhale, I will invite you to emphasize the belly breathing or diaphragmic breath by inhale, allowing the belly to expand. And on exhale, allow belly to collapse toward the spine, spine toward the mat. As you're inhaling, go slowly and gradually. Notice how the diaphragm pushes the rib cage away, out, not just on the front, but also on the side. And even you might feel how the rib cage presses down toward the floor. And on exhale, it like gently shrinks. Let's have one more like that. And if you have the arms wide, let us readjust the arms to be on the sides of the hips. Maybe palms facing the floor if that feels more comfortable, like you're creating the grounding here. Readjust your heels to come a little bit closer to the hips, so knees are above the heels. And then we're going to start with a pelvic tilt. So start with the pubic bone and then engage your glutes and lift your hips up. Neutral position, you don't need to go into high extension in the lower back, and then very slowly go vertebrae by vertebrae down, finding the spot where you're holding the abdomen in to get your lower back flat pressed, and then as you release, you're returning back to neutral position. So basically it's like a cat and dog stretch, but we're stopping here in a neutral position and we're not involving the neck. So we're working only with the lower back. I'm inviting you to go maybe another 2 or 3, depending on which pace you go, how long you're holding on the top position. I love to hold, I love to feel my glutes and hamstrings working, and then slowly come, and I love to hold here in this tilt position to create kind of a stretch in the lower back. And then let us bring the knees to the chest and massage the lower back a little bit more, exploring the flex position a little bit more here. And then let us take the legs up. Your arms are still on the side. If you're finding that it's more comfortable for you to have your arms in T position, palms facing the floor, that could be also the option. And then flex the feet and let us take the right leg down toward the floor, but not quite reaching the floor, maybe 1 inch. Maintain neutral spine position and then bring the leg up. So working a little bit on the lower abdomen. And then I'll go with the left leg. Drop the left leg down. Keep the right leg straight, heel going to the ceiling, and lift it again. So when you go, and you can continue on your own pace, when you go with the right leg down, make sure you're not arching through the lower back. You're maintaining neutral position. And come up. You might even touch your obliques, the side abdomen muscles, and feel how they work here. Keep your glutes working as well as you're holding your feet flexed. So continue on your own pace. We're going to do at least another 2, 3 leg lowering, each leg at a time. Maintaining neutral neck, not tensing the traps. So traps love to turn on always, like no matter what we're doing, traps love to turn on. So make sure that burning that you feel is in your lower abdomen area, and maintain a bit of a glute and hamstring work as you keeping the knees straight and flexing the foot. Let us go last time with the right leg. Hold for like split of a second. Come up. Let's lower the left. Hold. And come up, and let's bring the knees to the chest. Massage your lower back. And then let us bring the feet down to the floor. So that was the lower abdomen area. Let's just work a little bit on the 6 packs, those front and abdomen muscle. Let's bring the hands behind the back of the head. I'm going to lift the head off the floor. And when you're lifting the head off the floor, you feel how your lower back is flat down. So press the chin down to the floor. So here you might have a little bit of a challenge in the neck position. So I usually always support my head with my interlaced hands on one hand, as I have a trouble to hold the neck, the head without the support. So bring the chin down to the floor, pull the belly in, and then try to reach with the right hand toward the right knee, and continue to really embrace your frontal abdomen muscles, and then change the hands and reach with the left. So not rotation yet. So bring again the hand to hold the head, reach, hold. So it's a static hold. We're adding the arm movements just to distract your mind from hard work of the body. Okay, so continue to hold and just change your hands to reach to the knee. Keep lifting. So think of taking the shoulder blades off the floor. We're going to go 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, so head is on the center for now, and 1. So it should be burning more on the top of the abdomen, and then release the head. So if your neck is a little bit stiff, move your head again. Let's bring the knees to your chest, rock from side to side. And then we're coming to the same position, so bringing the feet down to the floor, lifting the head off the floor, and this time we will try to reach to the heel. So squeezing the sides of the body. One side, coming to the center, keeping the head high, and then to the left. And coming back to the center and to the right. So continue with your own pace. Continue to keep engagement. Continue to keep the head off the floor. And as you reach into the heels, squeeze one side, squeeze the other side. Squeeze one side, squeeze the other side. And again, we're going to go for 5. 5, both sides, of course. And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. And then bring the head down to the floor, bring your knees to your chest, rock from side to side, catch your breath, and then let's roll into seated position, and let's come into the child pose. So take your toes together, knees slightly apart, stretch your arms forward, stretch your lower back. Here, taking the breath. And then look forward and bring your forearms down and bring your belly down to the floor. So first, let us just stretch the abdomen muscles that we put on work right away in the beginning of the practice. So if you are able to lift your elbows off the floor, keep your legs relaxed and feel a little bit of a stretch of the abdomen area. Taking the breath. So it's very different from Cobra. We're not using the glutes and legs right now. We're having a passive stretch of the frontal line. And then come all the way down, exhale. Bring the hands on the sides of the rib cage and then lift yourself into the tabletop position. So while we warmed up the lower back, we would like also to add the spinal movement for the thoracic spine and neck. So here I'm inviting you to go through the cat and dog stretch. You might still feel quite a lot of burning in the abdomen area. So when you come to your dog stretch, allow yourself to think of stretching the abdomen area. When you come to the cat, yes, you need to again engage the abdomen muscles, and you know exactly where they are to pull them toward the spine. And this time make sure you add in the head, so you add in some stretch in the neck area. So let's go for the 2 more, both directions. And then come to the neutral position. Take your knees a little bit closer to each other, so a little bit closer to the midline, and then step the right foot forward into 90-90 lunge, and then just adjust the right foot where you feel that you're going to be stable. And you know how to maintain the neutral spine, so get your glutes engaged, especially the left one. Engage your lower abdomen. Let's take the arms wide and let's twist to the right and then to the left. So you can move your arms as far as you want to move here. So add in a little bit of the front of the chest stretch when you go with the arm far back. You feel stretch on the shoulder and a little bit of a twisted movement here for the spine, as we had quite a lot just the flexion position. So a bit of the movement here, and then a stop on the center. Step the right foot forward a little bit more, maybe a lift to the back knee, and a bit of a stretch of the hip flexor here, maybe pulsing a couple of times, and then have a left hand on the floor, just the tip of the fingers. Bring the right hand to the right knee and twist to the right. This time hold a little bit longer. Make sure that your left shoulder pointed straight forward. So feel some work in the thoracic spine area. Lower back is in a more or less neutral position. This time you feel stretch around the right hip, hopefully, and then let us work the hands backward and flex the right foot and add a little bit of a hamstring stretch. So if you have a bit of a challenge to reach to the floor, you always can use the block for this one. Flex the foot and feel stretch. Hold, and we will just change. Stepping the left foot forward first into the 90-90 position. Readjust the pelvis here. Taking the arms wide, and again, we're going to just move free from side to side. Just keep your arms soft. So a little bit different from what we usually do for the twist. We are talking a lot over the alignment of the elbows here. I just want you to notice how your upper body moves in a free way. Still rotation happening, right? When we move in a actual movements, right, at home, we're not really aligning the shoulders. Okay, and then let us step the left foot forward a little bit more, tuck the back toes, release the back knee if you feel a little bit of needed, and then press the hip forward, feeling stretch in the hip flexor. You're always welcome to use the blocks here as well. Pressing the hip forward, feeling some stretch. And then when you're ready, you can have a hand on the floor, on the block. Bring the left hand to the thigh and gently twist to the left. Hold it here. Again, like think of a comfortable kind of a massaging sensations along the thoracic spine as we just start moving, just warming up. Feel, maybe stretch around the left hip. Maybe, oh, definitely, not maybe, definitely feel the stretch and that right hip flexor. And then, again, for this one, it's really nice to use the block. Press the hips back, flex the foot, keep the knees straight, keep your chest open, pulling the hip backward. Okay, a little bit of a hamstring stretch. And then let's release and have a blocks on the front just to be able to reach to them and find your way into downward dog. So go your way to set your hands shoulder width apart. Remember always to spread the fingers, pointing the index finger straight forward. Release the head to be aligned with the arms, so don't keep your neck tense here. Feet are usually hip distance. Bend your knees. Think like you're pressing the heels down. Your tailbone up and back. Don't worry about knees yet. Think of like sliding the mat, like stretching rather the mat away with your hands. And as you go here, keep engagement in your triceps. So think of spreading the shoulder blades, stabilizing your shoulders by using the muscles around the shoulder blades, but not the traps only, and the triceps here. And then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance. Let us have here passive stretch. You can even interlace the hands on the back of your head and slightly pull the head down. So adding a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of extra weight on the head to release all this tension on the back of the body. Really a lot. You basically feel it from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. And then if you had the hands on the back of the head, release them and slowly come up into standing position. Exhale. So let your arms be on the side, palms facing the front. And let us go through very slow first round of sun salutation. So with inhale, lift the arms up. Hold it here for the breath. Make sure that you're not extending through the lower back. Find your abdomen muscles and glutes, stabilizing the pelvis. You have awareness of this area by now. Bring the palms together, hinge from the hips, and exhale down, releasing the head. Maybe feeling a little bit more space on the posterior chain right now. And then stepping the left foot back and dropping the left knee down to the floor. So it's wide, but it's a comfortable wide. You might feel a little bit of a stretchy and the left hip flexors. Lift the torso up. Interlace the hands, having the left elbow on the top of the right elbow. And then just lift your chin up. Not necessarily dropping the head far, just the chin up. Bring your gaze up toward the ceiling. Press the hip flexors forward. Squeeze the shoulder blades. So feel a little bit stretch on the front of the shoulders here. Take an exhale, then bring the hands to the floor. Tuck the back toes and transfer yourself to the downward dog. If it's several moves, that's all fine. Finding your downward dog every time in a downward dog. First of all, you want to create the straight line from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, and only then you're worried about your knees. Taking the breath here, and then look forward and come to the plank, but let us drop the knees down to the floor for the first plank. Reset your hands under the shoulders, maintain the neutral spine, and then just engage the glutes a little bit. Push the floor and then extend one leg and the other leg, and keep engagement of the glutes. So it's a very similar sensation of the pelvic tilt. You're pulling the lower abdomen in, pushing the floor, having the upper back really strong supporting you. And then let's drop the knees down to the floor again, stepping the left foot forward and lifting the torso up. Again, stretchy sensation on the right hip flexors, but not too hard. Have your right elbow on the top of the left hand and lift your chin up. Having a bit of the back bend here, but a very moderate. Think more of a back bend, not in the lower back, but back bend in your upper back, and a very moderate neck extension here as well. Then on exhale, bring the hands to the floor, tuck the right toes, and step your left foot back into downward dog. Again, take your time to first of all worry about your line from the base of the palms to the hip creases rather than your knees. Don't worry about your knees. They might come straight one day, might not. It's still good. Spine is more important for us. And then on exhale, look forward and come into plank. And right away in the plank, squeeze your glutes. Pull the belly in. Have a little bit of a posterior tilt here. And then drop the knees down to the floor. Let's stop here for a moment and make sure that your shoulders are not going backward from the alignment of your palms. Your shoulders are moving forward. Your neck is neutral. You still have slight posterior tilt. And then you start bending elbows and like you pressing the mat backward. So your shoulders ending up in front of your palms. So reset your 90-degree elbow if it's ended up not there. Roll the shoulders back. This time engage your legs. Again, work with your glutes and lift the chest up. Doesn't need to be high, especially in the chin area. Neck is neutral. You're feeling very light touch with your palms to the mat. And then to roll into downward dog. Let's go slowly. So first bring the chin to the chest. So you have your flexion in your spine. Then squeeze your glutes and then think that you're pulling the belly button off the floor and press it into a moment into the cat stretch. And then tuck your toes in this cat stretch position. And then send your hips up and back. And you come in neutral position of the lumbar spine. So taking the breath here. We're going to go today several times really slow into the plank cobra and then cobra downward dog transitions. We're going to work in details there. And then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance, hand here for the breath. And then let's slowly come up into the standing position. Exhale. Taking the breath here. Let's go to the next one. Inhale, lift the arms up. Neutral position, don't collapse into the back bend. Palms together, hinge from the hips, exhale. Every time you should come to the fold forward, you feel a bit of a release. It's becoming a little bit easier for you to reach to the floor. Step the left foot back, and this time it's the high lunge. Bring the hands on the hips and lift the torso up. Let's take a moment here, finding the back leg, pressing the left heel down to the floor, maintaining the front knee 90 degree. Bring your left hand on your belly and right hand on the lower back. Yes, you do have here extension because of this extended left hip, but try not to press the bottom rib cage forward, but rather think of a strings that connecting your lower hip and the lower rib, and keep them really engaged. So your abdomen, those top abdomen muscles are engaged here. And then from here, you're taking your arms up, holding here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and step into downward dog. So downward dog is a kind of a rest pose, reset pose for you. Taking the breath and then look forward and flow into plank. And in a plank, I want you to really be aware of the frontal line. So you're pulling the belly in really strong. Glutes are engaged, hamstrings are engaged. And then drop the knees down. So stay here for the moment. So make sure that you're not in a tabletop position. Your hips are coming down, but you're not extending. So not belly is leading you down, but think of a tucked tailbone. And then move your shoulders forward in this tucked tailbone position and slowly bend your elbows. So you're using your triceps here to come down. Exhale. Reset your hands if you need. Roll the shoulders back. Pointed toes. Squeeze glutes. Lift the chest up. Neutral neck position. And then tuck your toes. So remember, we bring the chin to the chest first. Now you think of pulling the belly button off the floor and right away tucking the tailbone under. Come into the brief moment into the cat stretch, and then sending the sit bones up and back into the downward dog. Exhale. Long spine. Taking the breath. Then step in the right foot a little bit closer to the midline and step in the left foot forward into lunge. So it's something that's really comfortable for you, and you're lifting the torso up. Let's have right hand on the belly and the left hand on the lower back. So I really want you to feel the difference between being into stretch belly position, into the uncontrolled back bend, and a strong core position here. So feel that you're in control, and then lift your arms up, holding the Virabhadrasana A for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bring the hands on the floor again. Transition into the downward dog. Exhale here. And then flowing into plank again. So make sure that you feel how you're taking the front muscles away from the mat. So are having at the same time straight position, but away from the mat. Strong glute work. Drop the knees. Still strong glute work. Still slightly tuck tailbone. Then move your shoulders. So shoulders should pass your tip of the fingers. You're bending elbows. So here's a moment when you in the 90-degree elbows that your belly is not touching the floor. Am I only one here? And drop the belly down. Exhale. Hands on the sides of the rib cage. Roll the shoulders back. Pointed toes. Come into cobra. Exhale. And then press yourself into the child pose and take your arms on the side. So feel a little bit stretch on the wrist. Pretty sure some wrists need help here. I need a rest here after a long position in the plank and cobra. Taking the breath. And then bring the hands in front of your knees. Lift your chest up. tuck your toes and lift your knees off the floor. So let's address a little bit of the toe and feet stretch. So you can move your heels a little bit. So trying to lift one heel, trying to lift the other heel, feel a little bit stretch in the toes area. And then if you can, come into balance on the tippy toes, holding the knees together if possible, trying to find your neutral spine position. So make sure you're not collapsing forward. That's again your core work here. You might hold your arms in front for balance, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and lift your hips up. Again, very relaxed stretch, and then slowly come up into standing position. Exhale. So from the back of the mat, again, step closer to the midline. And we're going to practice the chair pose, just a separation from flow. So find your hip flexors, so feet are hip distance, and you bend your knees, directing your seat bones back. Okay? So you're making sure that you're not folding forward. So your shoulders are not in front of your knees, and you're not sitting tall with the tucked tailbone. So by now you should be aware of the position. So really pinch yourself into the hip flexors, and like you're sending your seat bone to touch this imaginary chair. Body weight comes to your heels. And now the last one, we love to extend a lot here. So get your neutral position. So you might even have one hand on the belly, other hand on the lower back, and you feel you extended too much, like just drop the tailbone down and then bring your arms in front. Hold, 4, 5, 4. I see you, very good chair posers. And come up and shake legs. You should feel more work on the back of your legs rather than on quads. If you feel a lot on quads, maybe you're not distributing the weight backward too much. Okay, let us try one more time. So start from hinging here, sending your seat bones back. So if you extend your arms, more or less, you have here one straight line, shoulders above the knees. Even if you go lower, you're still getting the same. So look, I'm sliding up and down, right? And my shoulders, I sit above the knees any time. If I go lower, they're still here. So I never go forward. I'm always holding equal. And then last thing that I want you to be really aware is your neutral spine position. Arms in front and hold. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up and shake your legs. Let us have our 2 blocks. Step your feet in a wide position. So we're going to practice a triangle today. Once in a while we'll practice it this way. The previous session that unfortunately a lot of you missed for reasons. It will be in recording. I really suggest you to practice that one day at home when it will be available in the library. And we were exploring the awareness of movement in the lateral plane from side to side. And we had this triangle variation. So turn your right foot toward the right side of the mat. Turn your left foot in. And allow your hips to come to the position that is, so if I have my blocks on the hip bones, right? So look where my blocks are pointed. So like 45 degree, especially the back hip. And then bring the right block to the right hip and think of pressing your pelvis away to the left. So really letting the long side here on the right. And then I want you to bring one block on the top of the left palm and press it up toward the ceiling. And then extend your right block having the block on the palm to the right. And think that you're reaching with the right block and pressing the left and then coming down from hip flexors. Hold here and just try to embrace your core. Not much of extension of the lower back. Really hard work. Still triangle, but really hard work here. And then release the blocks and come up. And we'll go to the other side. So turn the right foot in, left foot out. Allow the right hip to be rotated in slightly. Then press the block to the left hip and let your right hip travel to the right. Then get the one block on the right palm up toward the ceiling. And then get the left block on the left palm and start thinking of the forward direction up toward the ceiling, away with the left hand, and then grounding through both feet. Really emphasize the right heel grounding. Press, 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 and come up. A lot of work in this triangle. Let us go to traditional triangle, but still have this awareness of the center of the pose into the core. So let us have just one block in front of the right foot. You know how to align your hips here, and use just your right hand to pinch your hip flexor. So here is the hinge going, touching the block with the tip of the right hand. Sending, so even have your left arm parallel to the floor first. So taking your left shoulder away, rotate your left shoulder back, look above your left shoulder to the ceiling, and then take your left arm up. So traditional triangle pose, work with holding. So anytime if I ask you, you can take your right hand off the block, right, and continue to hold this triangle pose. So it's just a light touch down. You're not collapsing here. And feeling that the center is here in the core, legs are creating nice pyramid support. And then from the hip unfold, and we'll go to the other side. Turn the right foot in, left foot out. Bring the block in front of the left foot. Allow the right hip to rotate forward a little bit. Press the hips. Find your left hand touching the block lightly. So you're not relying on the block. It's just a bit of a support. And then first rotate the shoulder. So let us do the same thing. Have your right arm parallel to the floor. I want you to emphasize that the right hip is going backward where the tip of the right fingers are going, and then lightly adjust your arm up toward the ceiling. Okay, keep chest open, rotate the left shoulder back, and feel like you not really need the left arm, just opening here. You're holding yourself. Here is the center. Embrace your core. Have your strong legs. And then come all the way up. Exhale. Great. So let us bring the block back in front and have your feet slightly in. So that was a very asymmetrical pose. We did it twice. So let us hinge on the hips and let the spine rest in the centered position. Exhale, long spine. You might adjust the feet a little bit lower even. Maybe some of you don't need the block and you can bring the forearms down to the floor. A little bit extra stretch. Don't lock your knees though. Have them a little bit in a soft position. Taking the breath here. And then lift your torso up and then go toes, heels, and come into the standing position. Exhale. So let us have again 2 blocks for the balance poses, just to add a little bit work for the shoulder. So let us first hold the blocks parallel to the floor. So make sure that
Your forearm is not lifted, it's parallel to the floor. Elbows are tucked to your torso, and let's open the both forearms out. So you feel that you work in external rotation for the shoulders as much as you can, but make sure that you're not taking your rib cage forward. So you're in a neutral position here. And then start bringing the body weight to the left foot. And when you're ready, lift your right knee up, flex the foot. Let me be this way, flex the foot. So lift it as high as possible. Keep your right hand where it is, and then press your left arm up. Emphasize the left side of the body, really solid support. Squeeze your left glute. Engage your lower abdomen to lift your knee high. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring first your block in the same position, elbows close, and then release the right leg, and then you can shake your arms. Let's practice other side. So first, open the block to the sides, and then bring the body weight to the right foot. Lift your left knee high, 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 high. Squeeze, stabilize your right hip. Lift your right arm up, press the block up. Solid right side of the body. Find your right oblique helping you. Lower abdomen is engaged to lift the knee high. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First, bring the block down, then release the leg, and then shake your arms. So let us go for one more flow before we go back on the mat in the seated position. So approach the front of the mat, take the arms on the sides of the hips, close your eyes. You should feel quite a lot of awareness of the midsection of the body today. So keep using your glutes to stabilize your pelvis. Keep your crown of the head reaching up toward the ceiling. Check your breath flowing in and out freely. It's quite long, but not something that exhausting you. With inhale, lift the arms up. Palms together, hinge from the hips. Exhale, folding, releasing the head. Stepping the left foot forward into lunge, finding the back leg, embracing the core, lifting the arms up, holding for 1, 2, and 3. Drop your left heel down, rotate your hips toward the left side of the mat. Take your arms into the warrior 2. Have first your gaze on the center, and then reach with the tip of the fingers to the both directions. Keep your front knee straight. Bring the left hand to the left thigh, taking the right arm overhead, opening the right side of the body. A little stretch for your obliques that had to work. And then exhale, making a huge circle with the left arm. Stepping right away into plank, sliding the right foot back. Hold the plank, squeeze your glutes, push, 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 push the floor. And then dropping the knees. Having the pause here, making sure the shoulders start passing the tip of the fingers, bending elbows, holding the belly in, and then chest and belly should touch the floor at the same time. Hands on the sides of the rib cage, roll the shoulders back, pointed toes, exhale, coming into the cobra. Tucking the toes, coming to the downward dog. Through the flow, we emphasis today a little bit more. Exhale, long spine, reach there. Step the right foot closer to the midline. Step the left foot forward, strong back leg. Lift the torso up. Take your arms up with a strong core. So just imagine you need to hold overhead 100 pounds. You're not holding this with your arms, you're holding this with your core. Then dropping the right heel and coming into the warrior 2. Front knee comes forward, 90 degree. Back leg is anchoring you. Arms are stretching to the both direction. Bring the right hand to the right thigh, taking the left arm overhead. Open the left side of the body. Stretch a sensation on the front of the rib cage. Taking the breath, making a huge circle with the right arm. Come into the downward dog. Exhale. Flowing into plank, holding the plank. Dropping the knees, moving forward. 90-degree elbows, maybe pausing here. And then bring belly down, exhale. Shoulders rolled back. Lifted chest, inhale. And let's press into the child pose. Exhale here. Bring the arms on the sides of the body. Maybe stretching the wrists, relaxing the shoulders. Exhale. And then we'll transfer the body into seated position. Let us have the right leg extended, left knee bend. You would like to align your hips to be parallel to the mat in front of you. If you're finding that your left knee is unstable, bring the block to support the knee. Okay, so you don't want to overstretch the lateral ligament. And think like you're pulling the right heel into the hip socket. It's like you're making the right leg shorter. Maintain your straight spine and then just walk your hands toward the heel, but don't force yourself. So just walk to the point when you feel that's it. It's a right position to hold, and keep your arms relaxed and keep your head relaxed down. So more passive stretch rather than active stretch. And as we're going to hold that little bit, maybe 10 breaths, notice how you can walk your fingers forward. So release of the posterior chain and the right leg and the spine happening, and you're just reaching forward more and more. Like really try to be more passive and more aware how the stretch happening. It's a whole science of how the stretch comes from the receptors, how it's coming from the control of our nervous system. So we need to hold a little bit longer to receive this release, receive this elongation of the muscles. Muscle want to be tense, muscle want to be short. So to release, we need to be really patient and really work through the breathing. Slowly come all the way up. Let us adjust the left knee to get up toward the ceiling. Right foot is flexed. Hug your right shin. Bring the left hand behind. Use this left arm as a second spine and twist yourself to the left. Keep your shoulders open. Maybe close your eyes and think more of a relaxation here. Make sure that you're not lifting the left hip off the floor. So you don't need to cross the right knee over the left side. Maintain your pelvis grounded here. So no shifting here in weight. Your spine is up straight. And then come back to the center. Just hold a moment here. And we'll change. Extend your left leg, bend your right knee. Again, I really suggest to have a block under the right shin, especially if you're tight in your hips. And then think of pulling the left heel into the left hip socket, like you're making the left leg shorter. That's helping you to align your pelvis. And then bring your hands on the floor and just walk the fingers and release. You might feel quite a lot of resistance. Left side usually tighter, so stay patient, stay relaxed, stay with your breath to just release this, release those tightness in your calf and left hamstring and right hip and along the spine. So let's work a little bit with the gravity here, allowing the elbows to reach the floor. Exhale.
Exhale, and then lift the torso up. So right away, try to come into neutral position. So we were in flex position. You want to maintain neutral here. And then lift your knee, interlace the hands on the top of the shin. Lift yourself, then hug your right thigh. Use the right arm behind the spine and rotate to the right. Keep shoulders relaxed. Work rather with exhalation rather than force. And unfold back, lengthening here. Let us extend the both legs, and just for fun, let's bring the block behind your feet. So why I'm doing that? Because we love to adjust and let the feet fall apart because of a tightness that we have in hamstrings. So that will be your test that you actually maintain your feet flexed here. And again, think of pulling the thigh bones into the hip socket. So really keep your knees straight, flex feet. Let us take a second block and place it overhead. So really reaching out. So try to think that this is a magnet, the top of the block, and it's reaching to the ceiling. Press the chest forward. You should feel a lot of a very active stretch in your lower back. So do your best. If you have a bit of a shoulder issues, you might be slightly rounded here. So maybe block overhead is not your best position. You might press the block inside the chest and think of pressing the chest into the block. That's another variation if you're finding that your just shoulders restricting your hair. So feel the lengthening up, pressing forward. And now from here, let's go with this magnet in our arms toward the block behind the feet. Can you place the block on the top of the block behind the feet? If you can, keep the tip of the fingers on the block and just keep your gaze over the block and continue to reach with the chest forward. If you're not reaching, just bring on your toes, right? So not behind the toes, but on the toes. If you can't reach the toes, place the block on the high end on your ankles and keep the fingers on the block and keep chest open. And try not to look down. I see a lot of a gaze is down to your knees. No, look far in front of you. Thinking of a chest coming forward. It's a really active stretch. Very different from what we practice with one leg position. We're going to come to this passive in a moment. We will release the two blocks on the sides of the shins. This time you can relax your feet. Start the same way. So start from the hips and then just bring your palms on the block and release your head down. So again, we're going to hold this a little bit longer. So with the time, you might finding that you're able to slide your blocks, holding the tip of the fingers on the edge of the block, and just slightly pulling yourself forward, but it's still quite passive. You feel a lot of the very intense stretch, probably in the mid-back right now, probably in your neck. So keep your toes and heels as close as together as you can. Not necessarily you need to hold their flexed feet. That could be more relaxed, but try not to let your toes fall apart. Exhale. Taking another breath. And then very slowly come up. And we're coming into supine position. So first, just find your spine resting. It was quite intense stretch for the back of your body. So keep your knees bent, and then let us bring the right ankle on the top of the left knee, opening the right hip. You're welcome to stay here. You're welcome to lift your left foot. Keep it flexed, interlace the hands behind the left side. You can keep your left leg straight. You can keep it bent. You cannot use your hands to interlace behind the thigh, but you can keep both feet flexed arms on the floor, and use the strength of the left leg to press the right ankle toward the chest, working with a rotation of the right shin to be parallel to the floor. So it's more active position. Interlaced hands a little bit more passive. Straight leg is adding a bit of a hamstring work. Control your shoulders. Let's have here 5 more exhales. And we'll change. So first bring both feet down to the floor, readjust your hips, readjust your shoulders, and then bring the left ankle on the top of the right knee. Just check how your hip responds to that. And then lift the foot off the floor. You can again interlace, keep the leg straight. You can have your knee bent, flex foot, relax shoulders. And let's release the right leg down to the floor. This time we'll spread the feet on the width of the mat, taking the arms in T position, and let's drop the knees to the left. And finding here the supine twist. Any position of the legs, any position of the arms, whatever feels right for you, try to be really relaxed here. A lot of the very defined alignment we practiced today. We needed a lot of the control today, a lot of awareness of the position. Here, just allow your body to guide you. Not the mind to guide the body through the postures, but the body guiding the mind to just relax and stay where it feels just right for a moment. On next inhale, lift your knees up, reset your pelvis and shoulders back on the center, and drop the knees to the other side. You can turn the head if that feels right for you. And bring the knees up, readjust your hips. Maybe bring the knees to the chest, massage the lower back. Maybe taking legs and arms up and shake them a little bit. Relax your muscles. And then drop the legs and drop the arms down to the floor. Taking a couple of exhales. Finding your Shavasana. Your perfect position for final relaxation. So we had a lot of the stretch in the end of the practice for the posterior chain. So if you feel a bit of an intensity of stretching still there, focus on sending the breath to the areas, to relax them, to let them melt on the floor. We started the practice today with some core work that helped us to maintain our standing postures strong and balanced. But now you want to be aware of a softness of your belly area, completely relaxed. You're letting the feet and palms be really heavy. Letting the back of the head be really heavy. Think of the star position that you practice in your Shavasana. Letting the whole body be relaxed. Letting the breath be relaxed. And letting the mind be relaxed. Gentle moves will return. Toes and fingers. Circle the wrists and ankles. Finding the way to bend your knees and drop the knees to one side. Roll to one side. Maybe rest here on one side. Don't rush into sitting position. Very slowly with the help of one arm, lift the torso. Cross your ankles. Come into the Sukhasana, easy pose. Bring hands in front of the heart. Taking a moment to admit the end of the practice. Thank yourself for being here. And take a positive vibe of this practice to be your guide through the rest of the day. Namaste.